Hi there. My name's Briley. I'm living here in Oahu, Hawaii in my Chevrolet Express van converted into a little camper. Today I just kind of wanted to go through some of my biggest gripes about van life in Hawaii. And obviously, like to preface, it's pretty sick. I'm hiking mountains, jumping waterfalls. I'm here at the beach right now. I'm working part-time and putting so much money into savings. It's pretty sick. So first things first, to start off, I have a low roof van, just like the normal Chevrolet work van. So I can't stand up to cook. I can't stand up to wash dishes. I can't stand up to change clothes. And that's definitely like an adjustment from normal life. That's my first gripe, is having a low roof van. And of course I would prefer a high roof van like a, Sprinter or a Transit. But so here in Hawaii, or at least Oahu, like space is very limited. Basically everywhere you go has parking garages. Like little shopping centers will have like a 2-story parking garage, and that's another one of my gripes. These parking garages, they all have height restrictions. Like even if, say, the top level is street level, so you can just drive right in off the street, and there's no roof on the top level or anything, you could fit a huge RV or something because there's no roof. You could fit anything. But since the lower levels have a short height, like say 7 foot or 6'8", like since the lower level has a short height, they put restrictions on the top because some people aren't smart enough to know that my big car, my van, my truck can't fit in the bottom or the middle of the parking garage. I can only stay on top. They have those like barriers when you first enter, those things that hang and would hit the top of my roof, obviously. But it's annoying because it's like, man, I know I can only park on the roof. I know my van is tall enough to where I can only fit on the roof, so I'm only gonna park on the roof. I'm not gonna try to go in your parking garage and hit the walls and bust a water pipe or whatever that's hanging off the top. That's one gripe, is that it's kind of hard to find parking sometimes because of these restrictions in the parking garages. I dream about having some nice built-out Sprinter or Ford Transit, a high roof van that I could stand up and walk around in. With all these parking garages and everything else, I would have to park on the street. It would have to be like a decent sized spot because those vans are big. It's really limited. Street parking here is also very limited just because how many people are here. The island is very populous, so any type of parking, street parking, parking garage, everything fills up quick. If you had a longer van or taller van, limiting yourself in any way, it'd be harder to park. The dream is to have, like a Sprinter van, a Transit van, something big enough to walk around, stand in comfortable. But I'd know that I'd have to park on a street a mile from where I actually wanted to go and then walk in. Like, sure, I can't stand up in this van, but I can fit in most places parking wise. Makes it a lot easier. Another downside for this van life in Hawaii, of course, like there's differences versus mainland US. So I'm from obviously the mainland US, from Tennessee. With my family being in the mainland US, no matter where they are, they're a road trip away. I mean, it might be days to drive there, but they're a road trip away. That's just not the case when you're living in Hawaii. Everything is by plane, obviously. It kind of cuts you off from your family, which is, sad. You're living in paradise, but you still miss your family sometimes. Or no matter like where you want to go, like say I was in Tennessee, oh let's go to Florida, or I would really like to go snowboarding in Colorado. Everything is just a drive away. And here in Hawaii, I'd really have to make different arrangements, of course, by plane. I really have to worry about, I can only bring 2 bags or whatever. But if I was mainland US, you just load up the van, man, let's go. That's my next gripe, is that road trips aren't really a thing here in Hawaii, and road trips are something I really enjoy. Another thing I hate about living in Hawaii in my van, it gets hot in Hawaii. When I'm thinking hot, so you go vacation in Florida and it'll be like 105 degrees, and it doesn't get that. Like, it's hot today and it's 85 degrees. Of course, it's tropical, sunny Hawaii. If you're in the van, it gets hot. I power everything in my van by solar, so I've got to park in full sun. So when you're parked in full sun, the van gets hot. Even though I got a white van, I got to charge my solar panels, so I've got to deal with the heat. I don't know. When you think about it, at least it's not the South where it gets 105, 110 degrees. The hottest days it gets here is like 86, 87 maybe. I'm not even sure if I've been in that type of heat. I guess I shouldn't complain, but being in the van, I mean, I'm sure it gets over 100 degrees. You probably see me sweating a little bit right now. Of course, I put like Reflectix on all the windows to keep the heat out, which really helps. And I've got a max air fan to blow the hot air out, or at night you pull the cool air in. I don't have my Reflectix on the windows right now just so the camera can see the beach. So one of my last gripes about, I guess this one's like Oahu specifically, but Oahu is very populous. This is like the hub island, the main island. There is a ton of people living on this tiny island. Like I was talking about earlier, street parking is hard to find. and like say you want to park in a specific place, like say I know there's some free street parking, and because you know a lot of street parking by certain places is paid and you don't want to do that. So if I know there's like specific free street parking, you might have to get it up in the middle of the night to get it, or get up at a weird time of the day, like say 10 a.m. when everybody's at work, and go grab your street parking and just park your van, because what else can you do? You can't leave it and lose the spot. And obviously, like, I've been here over 6 months, 7 months now, and you learn where you can park, and you know where is easy, and where, you know, where people might not want you to park. So it's just something you figure out, but it's just kind of tough, especially in, you know, like a longer vehicle like a van. You can't, you know, you can't park anywhere. It's got to be a decently sized spot. And I've even tried to park in a neighborhood to sleep by, like one day I was going to Pearl Harbor, so I wanted to park in a neighborhood by there. As soon as I get parked, I have a local come out of his house, and he's like, hey, you know, you're in my spot. And well, first of all, like, it's street parking, it's public. I could have stayed there, but you know, I'm nice, and he's a local, so I'm gonna respect that. And so it's like, okay, I'll move along. But you know, it's, garages aren't really a thing like on the mainland, so people park in their driveway, people park on the street. You know, it leads to more people being parked on the street, and takes away opportunities from me, I guess. The locals, they really, I've had that happen a couple times where people are like, hey, you know, that's my spot, but it's street parking, so it's not really their spot, but you gotta respect it. Those are like some of my biggest gripes about van life in Hawaii. Been here long enough to kind of figure it out. Looking back on my list, I'm like, man, these you know, these are really nitpicking. These aren't real big gripes. Gotta find something to nitpick and make a video about. So that is, I think, 5 things I hate about living in my van in Hawaii. Of course, like I said at the start, man, it's a dream. Hiking mountains, jumping waterfalls, and at the beach. It's pretty dreamy, but those are my nitpicks that I hate. So, but now, it's time to go get changed, and I'm gonna go hit the beach.